And so, welcome everyone. So tonight I'm going to pick up a little bit where Susie Harrington left off a couple of weeks ago. She started to talk about the 7 factors of awakening. And this is a really important kind of list in our tradition. And tonight what I'd like to do is build on her introduction. I'll build it into the meditation because part of the real maturity of the practice is when we can recognize these 7 factors of awakening in our own practice, in our own heart and our own mind. And literally, truly, these are the factors which support awakening in the mind and the heart. Support that release, support those small moments that we, as Tilko Rinpoche says, small moments of liberation many times. This is what we're cultivating. And so I'll build on this. I want to bring it into the meditation. And in the talk, I'm going to place the 7 factors into the context of the larger map of our practice so that we can really feel the larger picture and how things build on each other. And then I also want to offer the 7 factors as a balancing practice, a practice where we can learn to balance our practice. We can learn to balance our daily practice, our practice within the meditation, and steer our practice in a way. So it gives us some real capacity to steer where we're heading. And so also tonight I'll lead a meditation as I always do till 7:30. Then I'm going to go back to what we used to do like a few months ago, and that is to have a talk which goes to about 5 to 8, and then we'll have announcements. So we'll close about 8 o'clock, and we'll see how that feels again. So settle in, everyone, to a sense of the body, sense of the breath. And right here, as we do this, we turn to the first awakening factor, which, if we did not have this factor, we wouldn't have the opportunity to awaken in the way that this practice offers. And I remember before I had mindfulness, before I knew the capacity for mindfulness, I didn't have this opportunity to cultivate this ease and freedom in the mind. And so turning to mindfulness of the body, sensing your whole body sitting. And naturally, with mindfulness, we can begin to investigate our experience. And so we can sense the feet and the contact with the floor. What's that like? You can feel into other places of contact, like the hips on the chair. Back against the chair. We can invite also with our investigation, we can invite some wise effort, the third foundation or the third awakening factor, wise effort. And we can do this very simply. We can sense into places in the body where we hold habitual tightness. Sensing into the belly. Often which I often find I'm trying too hard in the belly. I'm holding tightly. And I can invite the belly to soften. That can help me find a little more wise effort, a little bit of wisdom and ease. We can sense into the shoulders and invite some balanced effort there, some ease there. And we can sense into the face. Very often the face muscles are kind of held tightly, like trying hard to see or trying hard to have a social face on, and we can invite the face into wise effort, ease. And then sensing the whole body again, we might find that there's a little tiny bit of pleasantness just from this connecting to our experience, curious investigation, and wise effort. Might bring a little pleasantness, a little quiet kind of joy in being present here with this body breathing. And so resting in this mindfulness of the body breathing. Every so often, you might be curious about the breath. Bring in the curiosity. Is the breath, this breath rising, falling, breathing all by itself? Being curious about it. Sensing in how is the body now. You can check every so often, how is the wise effort? Every so often you can investigate, is there any quiet joy in this being present here, in this simplicity of mindfulness of the body and the breath? Coming back to this simplicity when the mind moves away. And so, dear friends, it's very skillful to reflect on our meditation and inquire, use our investigation to inquire, were the 7 factors present? And so you can reflect back and see, was mindfulness present? At any time, it may come and go, but was it present? Was investigation or curiosity present? Curious about the breath, rising, falling. Was there some intention towards wise effort? This ease of effort and alertness. And was there any quiet joy in being present in this way? It can bring some confidence just knowing that these factors are in our experience. And so mindfulness is the monitoring factor. And the first 3 that we've explored just in the meditation, investigation, wise effort or energy, and quiet joy, are the first 3, or the second, third, and fourth of the factors. And they are the energizing wing of the 7 factors. And then the other wing of the 7 factors, the other 3, are calm, concentration, and equanimity. And these 2 wings, when the energizing factor, when the calming factor, are what we can check into when we want to balance or steer our practice. So I want to offer these in the context of our larger map of practice, and show a little bit about how all of our practices build on each other towards the 7 factors, but are also liberation practices all just in themselves. And so the big map of practice that we're going to look at that contains the 7 factors of awakening is the Satipatthana Sutta. How many folks are familiar with the Satipatthana Sutta? Quite a few. Okay, so I'm just going to look on the second page. Anyone familiar with the Satipatthana Sutta? Okay, and lots of folks aren't, so that's fabulous. So the Satipatthana Sutta is the foundational sutta, or one of the very foundational suttas of our practice. Sati is the Pali word for mindfulness. It's translated as mindfulness, although some people don't love that translation, but that's the translation we have. Sati, and then Patthana, the establishments of mindfulness or the foundations of mindfulness. And this is truly what most of our practices are based in. And so the foundations of mindfulness, there are 4 of them. The first one is the foundation of the body. These are places we place our attention. So mindfulness of the body. And this helps us to have a place of grounding. This helps us have a place to rest the attention. And we can do this when we're breathing, sitting, standing, walking, or doing any activities. We can be mindful of the body. So it gives us a place to come home to. Begins to stabilize the attention. Then the second foundation of mindfulness, which builds on the first one, once we can be stable in the body, the second foundation of mindfulness is what we call in Pali Vedana, or feeling tone. And what that means is whether we like something or we don't, whether we have a kind of a gut reaction. This is a condition, it's not we're choosing. It's like whether we have whether we find an experience pleasant, unpleasant, or neither. That's Vedana. And the reason the Buddha pointed us to that is that, and secondly, is that we feel those things in the body. Pleasant feels like, if I asked you all, we could come up with a collection of how pleasantness feels in the body. Might feel relaxed, open, spacious, delighted. Then if we could also cultivate or create a vocabulary together of what unpleasant feels like. Tight, contracted, ill will. And we just want to know these things. There's no judgment. And then the third, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, will have a kind of a neutral response or reaction. And the reason the Buddha had us look here is that if we don't notice our reactivity to things, is that we will just automatically get tight, and we won't like something, or we'll grasp for what we really love, what we really want, and we'll be constantly in this push and pull. Do you remember this, what Dr. Seuss, the animal, the push me pull you? The animal, there was a horse. It had a head and a horse head on both ends, and it was called the push me pull you. And I always think of that with this ill will and grasping. You gotta push and a pull and a push and a pull. You gotta push me pull you. I'm in push me pull you mode. I ride that animal fairly often. So that's, if we don't see the push me pull you, we'll be pushed and pulled. If we see the push me pull you, we can see it. Oh, this is ill will. This is grasping, and we're free. Or in our layperson's language, perhaps we're freer than we were before. When we see something, we can be free of the reactivity, the automatic reactivity. And this builds on the body because, again, the Vedana, the feeling tone, we feel it in the body. And that gives us a place to investigate and be grounded. That's the second foundation. The third foundation is the mind. And the mind has emotions and thoughts. And emotions and thoughts can push us and pull us, can put us on the push me, pull you, unless we have the body as a foundation. Then we have a strong emotion. Where is it in the body? Gives us a place to anchor. We have a thought train that's taking us away from this moment, taking us into worry. Oh, how is that experienced in the body? So these things build on each other. These three foundations. And then they build our capacity or develop our capacity to see experience clearly and steadily. And then the fourth foundation works with this steadiness of mindfulness, steadiness of mind and heart, to look directly at processes of liberation. Gil Fronsdal calls this fourth foundation mental processes. I like processes of liberation because there are two processes in the fourth foundation of mindfulness that help support liberation in the mind and the heart. The first one is the processes or the list of the hindrances. And we spent a lot of time with those in August. The difficult states of mind, how to work with them to find some ease, to find some release, to let go. And in that letting go, find some peace. That doesn't mean everything's hunky-dory or even that the difficult state goes away. It means that we can be with it with the steadiness of the first three foundations to find some ease and peace. The second process that is in the fourth foundation, the second major process that's in the fourth foundation are the 7 factors of awakening. So these are how to work and cultivate with the wholesome states, the awakening factors. And I have a poem to read about that. And I read this poem. I could not begin. I won't read this every week. We'll spend some time with the 7 factors for the next few weeks. I won't read this poem every week, but I have to read it. Maybe Susie read it too. I have to read it because it's about this 7 factors. This are 7 friends. It's from the First Free Women, Poems of the Elder Nuns. And it's from a poem called Jenta, whose name means conqueror. And she's really talking about this map of the 7 factors, this map that can help her from getting lost. And the 7 factors as 7 friends. So she says, I was forever getting lost until one day the Buddha told me, to walk this path, you will need 7 friends. Mindfulness, curiosity, courage, joy, calm, stillness, and perspective. For many years, these friends and I have traveled together, sometimes wandering in circles, sometimes taking the long way round. There were days when I thought I couldn't go on. There were days when I thought I was finally beaten. It's scary to give all of yourself to just one thing. What if you don't make it? Oh, my heart. You don't have to go it alone. Train yourself to train just a little more gently. And so these 7 friends are present here with us right now. So I want to read this quote as well from the Connected Discourses. This places these 7 friends in the larger map of the Satipatthana. The Connected Discourses says, they describe the Buddhas of the past, how they attained enlightenment. This discourse says they attained enlightenment by abandoning the 5 hindrances, firmly establishing the 4 foundations of mindfulness, and realizing the 7 factors of awakening. Joseph Goldstein, of course, says, these same factors are present in our own mind. So I love how that sutta puts the 3 of them together, the 4 foundations, the hindrances, and the 7 factors. And I have an image for myself that that really helps me to find the balance that is in these 7 factors. And it's an image of a big bird or an eagle. And I know I've shared it before, but I want to offer it in the context of this larger map. That if it was an eagle or a big bird, the body of the big bird, the body of the eagle is the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd foundations. So it's the body and how we can experience emotions, thoughts, and Vedana in the body. The body of the bird. The heart of the eagle is metta, which of course is just the heart of the practice. The wings of the bird are the 7 factors. So we've got 1 wing, which is the energizing factors, 1 wing, which are the calming factors. And then the wind that the bird soars through are the hindrances in my image. We've got the turbulence, the hindrances, the wind. And if we can balance with the 7 factors, we can fly in that wind. In fact, if you look at big birds like eagles and crows and ravens and pelicans, cormorants, they love a big wind. You go out by the river, you'll see them soaring in the big wind. And if you look at the ends of their wings, you'll see that the ends of their wings have like a wing isn't a solid thing. A wing has feathers like this, and you can literally see the little feathers like this on the ends of their wings. And these are, for me, the 7 factors. 3 on each wing. And you can watch them, and they might move 1 of the little feather fingers, and that changes the trajectory of their flight. Or 1 on the other wingtip, and it changes the trajectory of their flight. This is what we can do with the 7 factors. So here's some examples of how we can just tweak 1 or 2 wings. So if there's struggle in your experience, we can check out what happens if you're simply mindful. oh, this is their struggle. What happens if you're simply mindful? I notice this in my body. If I'm mindful of the stress in my belly, it can soften a tad. If I simply bring mindfulness to the way I hold my face so tight, there can be a little ease. So this power of mindfulness can be very interesting. When the mind comes back from thinking and I feel into mindfulness in the body, there can be a little bit of release. So just tweaking mindfulness, that one feather, interesting, see what happens. What happens if you bring curiosity and investigation to an experience rather than prejudging? That's the second factor. What happens if we bring that? Here's one I had the other day. Oh my gosh, I was going to the dentist. First time since COVID. Going to the dentist. I had a big judgment about it. It's going to be scary. It's going to be fear, it's going to be really, really awkward. It's going to, I had some kind of anxiousness. I had a judgment about that. What happens if I could be open and curious about that? How are we going to negotiate this together? How are they going to be caring for me? How am I going to care for myself? So I was able to bring a little bit of curiosity in when I noticed my tightness, and then I noticed a little tiny bit of release. Small moments many times. What happens if you check your effort level? Is there too much striving, too much too much kind of lazing back? So what happens if you check that? Can we shift one feather of our posture, one feather in that direction? I find when I sit up straight, it affects my energy level. Posture can affect it. And what happens if you are feeling like low energy and you intentionally recall your joys and gratitudes? I'm just feeling gratitude for the Sangha at this moment, and my heart just kind of gets bigger. So we can tweak just a small gratitude and see what happens. On the other wing, what happens if we have lots of agitation? Can we simplify our practice? Can we simplify what's happening? Can we simplify in the middle of the meditation, in the middle of our day, and just tune into one anchor for even a few breaths? Today I had what felt like a whole bunch of things to do, like a whole bunch. And I thought, oh boy, I need some simplification here. I need to just do one or two, maybe, things at a time. So I just simplified, and the agitation could ease a little bit. Here's another one on this. If there's agitation, can you pay attention to the moments of equanimity? This is the seventh factor, that are already here. Can you put the radar out for equanimity that's already happening? And I would almost bet that there are moments of equanimity during the day for you that go by unnoticed. Equanimity we can tend to tune out of. And so are there moments of equanimity, steadiness that you can notice? So of course, when we begin to practice with the 7 factors of awakening, or this balancing practice, we are not going to be able to do it with great skill all the time. And it's like, there's a couple more metaphors that I think of when I think of this. When I first started to learn to canoe, I could not keep a straight line, It was like hitting the side of the river, like constantly. Like, I don't know if you've had that experience, but oh man, it's like zig, zag, zig, zag. And we used to say, we had a saying I've shared before, also when you're driving down the road, if it's really muddy, you have to be really careful not to hit the rhubarb. That was our euphemism for hitting the ditch. And so we can hit the ditch a lot as we begin to practice this. And I would, again, pretty much guarantee that we'll hit the ditch, oh gosh, I don't know, at least once a day, maybe more. But how do we learn to drive? We kind of veer a little bit, right? How do we learn to paddle? We hit the sides of the river every so often. So we need to give ourselves a big leeway and a lot of permission and patience. This might be a practice that we're practicing for our lifetime. I, for one, am willing to hit the ditch every so often. It's better than not having a practice at all. And so this has been the theme for tonight, to knowing that we have this capacity to monitor our balance. Mindfulness helps us know when we're out of balance, when we've hit the ditch on the left side or the right side, when we've hit the ditch on the left side, we know. Mindfulness will say, oh, that didn't work so well. Try that. So we've got this wonderful capacity to monitor, and we've got this wonderful map of balance. So this is what I'd like us to take away this week, is this invitation to check our balance. Check our balance. Is there anything you need that in the energizing department? And I find, like, you know what? I need a steady diet of quiet joy. It's not just a one-shot deal. I got the joy and I'm done and I'm good to go. I need to monitor that and actually feed myself pretty steadily. You might have sources of quiet joy or joy right in your own home. You might have a pet. You might have a dog, a cat. You might have a grandchild. You might have beautiful art. You might have a quiet corner. You might have colors in your room that you love, and you can feed yourself with that. So check it out. Do you need to balance in that way? Or do you need to balance in the calming direction? What's going to help you and your system be balanced and able to let go into some ease? So I want to close with a poem. This is by Rosemerry, Wahtola, Trommer, and it's called In the 4th of July Parade. Right down the middle of Main Street, the woman with the long red braids and fairy wings strapped to her back rode a unicycle more than 2 times taller than she was. Rode it with balance and grace. Her arms stretched out as if swimming through gravity, as if embracing space. Her smile an invitation to join in her bliss. How simple it is, really, to make of ourselves a gate, to swing open to the joy that is, to give others the key. How simple it is, really, to make of ourselves a gate, to swing open with our practice, with joy, with calm, with any of the factors of awakening. Let's just sit for a moment. Thank you for your kind presence. Let's dedicate the merit of our practice, this beautiful practice that we've cultivated, wisdom together tonight. May our practice ripple out, touch all beings. May our practice be a cause for the liberation and awakening of all beings everywhere. May all beings know freedom in the heart and the mind. Thank you. We got 2 bows in there for the price of 1 at the end. I'm going to hand it over now to our planning committee for some announcements.